Is modern dating broken? Yes, of course it is. Duh. We're all feeling it. But why? Why is it broken? Is it social media? The dating apps? Feminism? Toxic masculinity? Lack of traditional values? Lack of religion? Not enough confidence? Too much confidence? Is it the economy? Or maybe, just maybe, it's something a lot more obvious. I recently matched with this girl on Tinder, like a day before writing the script for this video, and I was a bit taken aback by the, how would I put this? The aggressiveness of her questioning. Like, after I matched with her and had some time to look at her profile to see, how can I spark a conversation, I noticed she had a picture from what seemed to be like Japan. And I was like, oh, cool, because, I'm a bit of a weeb myself, being a VTuber and all. I like Japanese stuff, you feel me. So I was like, let me ask her about that picture, specifically as a conversation starter, She did respond. The picture was from Japan indeed, but she immediately asked me the following question. Have you ever had a long-term relationship? And immediately afterwards, I mean 1 year. Mind you, this is the first conversation I'm having with this admittedly very pretty girl. And yet, what the hell was that question? It was kind of out of the blue. Full disclosure, I do use dating apps. I'm quite introverted and I don't really go out too much. I mean, not outside the gym or work. So this is one of the few ways I can meet girls. And while I don't get matches on every girl I swipe on, I do get enough. Yes, this is my actual Tinder account. That's my VTuber model. And the script for this video. And while I wouldn't consider myself ugly, I'm no 9 out of 10 guy. I'm not 6 foot. I don't have a Chad jawline and anything like that. But I think I would be at least average in my looks, if not a little above average, since, I do work out, I take care of myself, yada, yada, yada. What I genuinely don't think is that I look like a playboy. But this girl felt the need to confirm if I'm even capable of a long-term relationship as her first question. And it really got me thinking about relationships in general and how the hell am I still single? And you want to know the funny thing? This girl, she hasn't been the only one that had asked me this. Yes, she was very direct about it, but I've gotten this question in various roundabout ways before. I started noticing this last year, but it's been really picking up speed in 2025. There's a lot of doubt, suspicion, and it seems everyone is very, very tense when interacting with somebody of the opposite sex. And depending on who you ask, you'll probably get one of these answers. It's men's fault. It's women's fault. It's the dating apps in some way, shape, or form, or anything close to that. Honestly, I can see the appeal of these answers because they are simple, easy to understand, and they all accomplish one thing. They free you of all accountability. It's not your fault, it's your agenda, it's technology, it's lack of tradition, it's society, it's culture, it's the economy, it's the law. And here's the thing, there can be a bit of truth in all of those, but I like to think of it in a different way. One of the questions I like to ask people is about their parents. I like to ask the following question. If your parents were living in our time, would your mom have picked your dad? It's a pretty simple question, right? And instinctively you would want to immediately say, yeah, of course. But if you stop to think about it, would she? Would she really have picked your dad? Let's be real, the answer is probably no. And the same goes both ways. Would your dad have chosen your mom? Again, probably no. It's fascinating to think about these hypotheticals, but going further, if the answer is no on both ends, then why? Or why not? It's interesting how nowadays we are more connected than ever, and yet we seem to be more lonely, just somehow. It's weird that we can meet people from across the world, book like a $10 flight to see them in some cases. I mean, we're talking, in Europe, we can get flights for like €7. It's really weird. Right, no longer do we need visas in many places, or sometimes we don't even need passports to meet people. And yet, somehow we don't make any bonds. We have so many choices, way more options than our parents ever had. Well, that's what I see the problem is. We have too many options, too many choices. Well, actually, we have the illusion of choice. Those seemingly endless perfect men and women that you see on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter or /X, or YouTube, or Twitch, they all use makeup. Pretty much all of them use filters or some sort of visual enhancement. And even the words that they usher oftentimes are just what you want to hear. It's not who they really are. If you've lived with someone of the opposite sex for any length of time, you already know how fake online pictures tend to be. You already know the words are bullshit. As the saying goes, hope dies last. So we buy into it because we want to believe that that perfection, our perfect partner exists. You see, back in our parents' time, meeting someone of the opposite sex was a very limiting thing. You'd pretty much only be able to pick a partner from your local neighborhood, school, work, some family connections maybe. Getting together with someone from the other side of the planet, a different country, hell, even the other side of town was basically impossible for most people. Also, even though we like to complain about the economy a lot, realistically, jobs were way more gruesome, more dangerous back in the day. Life didn't have as many creature comforts either. Life was more difficult. There was no Uber Eats, there was no on-demand car sharing services, there were no mobile phones, no internet. Everything required paperwork, and even entertainment was very limited compared to what we have nowadays. Because now you can just go to YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, or just go to Netflix and you can have like endless entertainment. Yes, you can say some of it is not as good, but you have options, and therein lies the problem. Getting through life alone was basically impossible, or at the very least very difficult. Imagine like being a 70-year-old single man or woman in the 1960s, like without modern medicine or services, without kids or even a partner. How would life have looked like? I can't even imagine that. And most people, even our parents, I'm pretty sure they saw the writing on the wall and were like, hell nah, I don't want to die alone. And so people just had to be realistic because life demanded it. So when you combine limited options with a more difficult life, you end up needing to compromise and have realistic expectations of your potential partners. And yes, this did result in gender roles and expectations of each gender. But even though men and women haven't gone simpler, those roles and expectations served as somewhat of a guideline, a little bit of consistency in a never-changing world. Nowadays though, we have seemingly so many options, and as a result, such high expectations because we can seemingly replace anyone, that it's become more of a game of pride than a game of love. And while yeah, the traditional style still works for those who want to go that route, it is very tempting to try something else. Now more than ever. Just like gamblers will oftentimes cope, saying the jackpot is just one pull away. We like to think that our perfect partner is only one swipe away. Think of it this way. Let's assume you're craving chocolate. Back in the day, you had to get your ass to the store and you only had to choose between like default milk chocolate, maybe one with nuts, and a few more options. And you had like maybe 3 brands to pick from. Nowadays though, you go to the supermarket, you have hundreds of options. And if you go online on Amazon, for instance, you have thousands of options. You know the default milk chocolate is gonna be good enough and you will be happy with it, but you'd kind of want to try out the Oreo flavored one, the coconut one, the weird banana strawberry one, and oh, by the way, what the hell is up with that? At one point you get overwhelmed and just give up on getting chocolate altogether. Maybe you still get the boring milk chocolate. Those are usually options, but you also have a secret third option. What if you try a little bit of everything? Now, if you know anything about having so many choices, that's usually not a good thing. Because if you do choose that, your chances of getting that perfect chocolate that you will never be tired of, well, the odds are not in your favor because your taste buds will be overwhelmed at some point. Even if you seemingly find that perfect chocolate, most likely you will eventually just want something else. Apply this logic to the dating market and you start seeing a few problems. We try things out. We compare. We always want something even better. And it's never good enough. We're just picky. That's it, we're picky. So the issue, as far as I can tell anyway, at the core, is that we're all so goddamn picky to a point where we can't even comprehend the idea of giving up on something or just letting some things go. Everything must be on demand whenever we want it, and if we don't get what we want, we walk away or throw a temper tantrum. And I've noticed this in myself too. Nowadays it's more common to see videos of women getting the quote-unquote ick on realistically dumb things, but boy do I have news for you. Yes, men do it too. I always like to use this example from a few years ago, where I went on a date with this very lovely girl, like to a pretty fancy Italian place. I remember looking up at the menu and we decided to get pizzas. So when the waiter came to take our order, I just let her say what she wanted first, as a gentleman. And well, she ordered for both of us one large pizza to share, for the romantic slice of pizza sharing thing. If you know, you know. She very confidently mentioned the drinks we will need to the waiter and then just sent him on his way. Now, that seems pretty harmless, right? Maybe a bit bold of her, but nothing problematic, right? Right. I cannot tell you the anger this event triggered in me. It wasn't about the cost. Money has never really been an issue for me on dates. Or the fact that she took charge. Yeah, I know some men don't like it when women do that. I don't mind, I don't care. I simply didn't like the pizza that she ordered. Like the toppings. And I also didn't want to embarrass her in front of the waiter or ruin the date. But it bothered me to no end that she didn't even ask what I like. What if I was allergic to something? She just went in without thinking, assuming I would just go along and be happy with it. And yes, objectively it's harmless, but it really pissed me off. I did confront her about it and she never heard from me again. And yes, the girl that set us up did give me a mouthful the next morning. To be fair, I've always been a picky guy myself, so using myself as an example is probably not the best representation of the average guy. But the point I'm trying to make is that guys do it too. Sometimes it's something more predictable, sometimes it's something stupid, and realistically, it's more often than not something stupid nowadays. The amount of breakups I've seen over dumb things like forgetting to take out the trash or forgetting to buy bread despite impeccable chemistry is downright concerning. You can have like two people who share the same values, like to do the same things together, similar hobbies, even the same thermal comfort, and don't argue about over the thermostat. Yes, people do that. They do break up over the thermostat, look it up. And yet, make one very tiny mistake, like didn't wipe the dust off the counter, or forget the water running again, and it's like throwing a nuke into the relationship. I swear. Sometimes it feels like having big issues in a relationship is better than having little issues. Because big issues require you to focus and work together to overcome. Little things tend to be more individual. Maybe that's the issue. So I decided to try to make things a bit clear for like everyone or like anyone in this landscape that is a bit confused about the current dating situation. Turns out humans are complex, so let's try to keep this simple for this video and clarify some things that, while very stereotypical and boring, are as true now as they were in the past. And I'm fairly confident they're gonna be true in the future for the rest of humanity's existence. I'm just trying to make things simple for both men and women to understand some fundamental things and maybe help you reach your own conclusion as to any of this may apply to you. Feel free to make your own opinions and conclusions from what I am about to say. And keep in mind, this is just how I see things. I am by no means an authority on this topic. I'm just a guy with a personal perspective, okay? First point. You cannot make someone love you. It doesn't matter how good looking you are, how much effort you're willing to put in, or how much money you make. Attraction is instinctive. It is not rational. You can objectively be the best fit for somebody and give them everything, and they might even objectively understand that you are the best for them, but if they don't quote-unquote feel it, it won't work out. All you can really do is work on yourself, be the best version of yourself, and just go from there. This can mean learning new skills, getting a better job, losing weight, gaining muscle, mastering something, improving the way you speak, and other things. Being stagnant is not attractive. This goes for both genders. And I would advise you not to try to dwell on this too much, on this notion that, what did I do wrong? I would know. I used to do this exact thing. If things didn't go my way, then obviously I did something wrong, right? Well, it turns out you can do everything right and it just doesn't work out. Don't dwell on it, try to move on. Think of it this way. Even if you knew exactly what to do to get the outcome you wanted, would you be able to keep that act forever? Exactly. No. Eventually you would crack. So do try your best, but don't obsess over it if it doesn't go your way. Nobody owes you anything. and you can't make them love you. Second point. Looks matter. I know people should love based on personality and caring for the beauty of the soul and that's all bullshit. The way you look matters. Yes, it's not everything. I would say it's about 40%. A big chunk, sure, but it's not all that matters. So if you're a skinny guy and want to improve, hit the gym, put in effort, build some muscle. Make sure you groom yourself a little bit, try to use a fragrance to smell nice, trim your beard if you have one, make sure your clothes fit properly, proper posture, and so on. If you're an overweight woman, lower the calories, slim down, use a little bit of makeup to cover up the imperfection, not too much though. Make sure to also smell nice, make sure that your clothes fit as well. Take it easy with the tattoos and piercings, ideally don't have anything other than just some earrings. You don't have to be a 10 out of 10 in the looks department, but at the very least, you need to look like you care about your looks, like you put in some effort. Yes, it's gonna be easier for some people than it is for others. Yes, it's unfair. Complaining about it on Reddit, not gonna change anything. Because, third point, no matter how much we like to nowadays talk about gender equality, the reality is that most people, most of the time, men like feminine women and women like masculine men. Nowadays there's a market for anything, but markets tend to be very niche. The reality is that most guys don't want a muscle mommy or a boss lady, and most gals don't want a pussy ass man or a simp that will agree with them all the time and give them everything without question. Simply put, most men want a cutesy 6 out of 10 woman that is pleasant to be around, that will bring peace to their lives and not be a headache to deal with on a day-by-day basis. Preferably very open and transparent about what makes her unhappy, so there's no guesswork for the guy. She wears girly clothes like skirts and dresses, slightly revealing but not slutty tight or excessively loose. They smell flowery, they are good motherly figures, they are gentle and sensitive but capable of holding it together if need be, and stick by him through thick and thin, aka loyalty. And most women also want a 6 out of 10 guy that will protect them, provide for them, be strong both physically and especially mentally, take charge and lead when it's needed, don't complain when the going gets tough, fixes things around the house, does the heavy lifting, preferably also be slightly in tune with his emotions, but only she gets to see that, no one else. It had to be a very rare thing. Girls love to have their secrets, you know? So it's good to know that they like the fact that they like the idea of knowing that they're not in a relationship with a robot, but he can't be a wimp or a crybaby all the time, or someone who just collapses in the face of hardship. He is stoic, knowledgeable, competent, is willing to learn new things and adapt for the sake of the family, so she doesn't have to. He needs to have some level of aggression, but it's under control. It will keep everyone in check if need be, and that includes her. She's not perfect. She needs a limiter. The man is supposed to be that. Fourth point. Statistics don't lie. This is more for the women, and I will be only focusing on one element, but ladies, please, do you know how many guys are over 6 foot on the world stage? That is approximately 14% of men. So about 570 million men out of the 4 billion. Now, let's filter out the 2 old ones, the 2 young ones, the not rich enough ones, the not handsome enough ones, the married ones, the he gives me the ick ones, the players, and the chronically sick ones. And all of a sudden, we have 4 billion women competing for just a handful of men. This isn't even factoring compatibility, not to mention the dreaded thermostat. And yes, I know, you are special. You are a princess. You are not like those other hoes. But the few men that fit your standards, all they see are 4 billion options lining up for them. So why would any of these guys commit? And why would they commit to you? No, really, think about it. What makes you more special than that Filipino or Chilean or Russian chick? What can you do for him better than those other hoes? Something to think about. I know not all women are like this, but enough are to a point where you are self-sabotaging. And obviously, there are other statistics that you can look up on your own and apply it to both men and women. But the point is that you need to be realistic about what you can expect. Because, fifth point, you always have options. This is true for both men and women. Yes, women tend to have way more options simply because they are the gatekeepers of sex. But here I want to focus on the men. A lot of men say that they have no options, no girl swipes right on them. And my question is,
are you sure about that?
What about that kind of awkward girl? You know, the one that is a bit chubby, maybe not the prettiest. You know the one that always wants to talk to you and asks to hang out. Are you gonna tell me there has never, not once, been one girl that wanted to be around you? Don't lie to yourself. Yes, men have less options than women, but men still have some options. Yes, the options maybe are not what you want, and if you're okay with that, then so be it. Being single is a choice, and choosing to be single rather than being with someone you don't like is valid. But this goes back to my first point. You cannot make someone love you. It goes both ways. Think of it. Even if that chubby, ugly chick that liked you and was willing to do anything for you, if you don't find her attractive, it doesn't matter what she does. Right? She could have done anything for you. If you don't like her back, it doesn't matter. I just want to make it clear that there's a bit of hypocrisy on the men's side. Just like women saying that they want equal pay, but they still want men to make more money is contradictory. You as a guy can't complain that she doesn't want you no matter how much effort you put in if you yourself don't appreciate the efforts a woman puts in for you. We all want that 9 out of 10 supermodel that is a loving mother, loyal wife that cooks and cleans and doesn't poop. But that's not real. And let me tell you, women use a lot of goddamn toilet paper. And the same goes for women. We know you all want that tall, handsome guy that is in peak physical shape, is a genius, emotionally intelligent, makes millions and writes crime novels on the weekends, but he is also not real. This notion that we can have everything we want, or why should I settle for less, is just born out of entitlement, unrealistic expectations, and no amount of quote-unquote satisfaction will ever cure that itch. You are free to make your choice, but choices have consequences. Action always has an equal and opposite reaction. So pick a lane and bear the accountability and responsibility for that choice. Then there's biology. Point number 6. And if you don't care about having kids, then you can just skip this point. But let me be clear about this. Biology doesn't give a shit about your social life, your work life, the economy, the politics, or your preferences. If you want to have kids, ideally, you do it in your early to mid 20s. This is true for both men and especially women. While the male sperm does decrease in quality as men age, the decrease is slow, and at the end of the day, the quantity of sperm is unlimited. This is why men can get away with waiting and marrying younger women, because they can just keep trying. Women, on the other hand, have a very finite number of eggs, and their quality drops dramatically after age 35. I believe by age 40, they have less than 5% chance of getting pregnant. You can look it up if you want, but I think that's true. So, while being picky makes more sense for a woman than it does for a man, waiting too long is not in the best benefit of women, at least if they want to have a family. And yes, I know it's stressful to think about these things, but the reality is that life is a lot shorter than we like to think it is. This is why commitment is such a big deal. Because if we all just did what we wanted and we ran on instinct alone, the world would be a very different place. So men, if you find a good girl, she respects you, she's loyal, she's cute and a pleasure to be around, put a fucking ring on that. And women, if you find a man that treats you well, is hardworking, puts in effort and has at least some results, lock him down, because oh boy, otherwise you just might become that 45-year-old single lady in her studio apartment with 5 cats. I didn't make this video to complain. And I didn't make it to sell you anything or seek attention. Heck, I doubt anybody's ever gonna see this video outside the few people who are already subscribed. Nor did I make it to try to make a change in the dating culture. All I wanted was to share with the world one way of thinking about the dating scene, and maybe suggest a few tweaks that all of us can do, both men and women. Because let me tell you, no matter how many matches or likes you get, no matter how many dates you go on, no matter how many fun nights you have, it will all amount to nothing if you are simply picky number 69. This was Avanon Vise, the Dragonoid VTuber, signing off.